Hello and welcome to The Well, where they come to you on True Talk Radio 98.5 FM and now with Facebook page, True Talk FM. And you can also go now with YouTube page if you want for follow the program. The Well, now this program where they look at things where they happen inside Parliament and outside Parliament as well. And especially if it gets for do with Parliament, okay. Inside the program today, we get for look inside IGR and UN women them reports where them been pulled, but women them we na MPs them, we the lead committees them as well as we the inside rights now they represent them constituent system, how they can perform since where they elect them into them various seats them here, and also waiting at them attendance percentage from where they elect them women them here. We been get this whole tussle say, hey, we want to let them begin for increase woman representation inside Parliament and not go find who side we they make the laws them. Now so man them did it. So from where them mean start that campaign, we been see civil society organizations them and other state actors them come together and push the matter go before government and then them put on a parliament and then a lobbying come out of them. We want to see waiting at the results now of all them action they will be. Where them mean they push for let women them come inside Parliament and for let them begin participate amongst other things them women them will actually enter Parliament, them carry out the work where them mean give them for do. How committed were they? If forcing on the say, hey, land me out for clear bush so that I go begin farm for myself, and they don't they pressure you for me, don't they pressure you for them. The day where you actually teach them now, say, okay, me man, I they come learn you for let you can begin clear this farm for yourself and begin grow that you cassava day, so that you know go they come to me again and they ask me for waiting for it. You don't learn the person. If the person instead of it they go clear in your own farm now with the skill where you don't get, if it's still they come back to you for ask you for thing for it, it means even with all the effort you put for teach that person in fact how for farm, how for growing your own cassava, it not be mean nothing to them. So now this same kind of perspective now in the folks them within IGR been getting at their mind where them partner with UN women for assess the performance and the attendance where them female MPs them in none they get from where they elect them into Parliament. Stay with me for the next 1 hour as we they talk more about this report. And famulem, me where they bring the program to you, me na Bimba Kamara. Alright, so Famulem, if you just join we the discuss about female parliamentarians, them where them may actually appoint inside Parliament, them attendance. And we also they look at several other factors them where the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act being actually provide for. Now, for most people we don't know, you get this GIWI Act where Parliament them when at this kind of law where Parliament them pass inside 2022. The law them been actually passed because of several reasons them. At that time day, Boko of we mama and we auntie and we sister them feel say enough fine for let with the inside a country like Salone, who say woman them actually gets a huge them actually get a huge representation inside Sierra Leone in population, and yet we say the man and negotiate them for make a law, them not actually the inside it. So them been put this in what it mean happen is Boko organizations them come together, and this not just inside civil society, religious groups them come as well, even some governmental actors them been in there and other support being come out from regional bodies and other NGOs them there, and them put complaint before Parliament say we want to actually deal with this issue, and with a request say let we get a 30% representation of women them inside both the public and the private sector. So waiting them in go for actually not to be just for the increase how many women then go there inside any political appointment where presidents will make or inside parliament itself, but also even inside them we office them. Like we they get gender bills them, gender policies them where they ensure say one gender no dominates the other one. And I'll go find you can inside this governmental institution, and then most of out of 10 people where they work there, 8 na man and then 10 na woman. Them say and no go tell well. And then they know to be in all as well. They have been try for also to see the main way we they actually get with staple food na the country na through agriculture. The main way we they able forget waiting for it's basically na through agriculture. It's either we buy that we rest there, or the ordinary mami within a village within grand picking and then go na farm and then them clear them farm, grow the rest, and then they harvest them. Whether they sell them, whether they eat. And if this not the case now, how we they able to make sure say them people them woman them for example with they into agriculture, how we gonna make sure say they get access to land for let them grow them crops them? And if not just the access to land safe, some farmers them they or generally woman them they way want for carry out an initiative. Say you want for start that farming business, they but you don't get the capital. You community not go able help you with that capital day. Sometimes you man know they work and not they able give you that small business money for let you use them for go buy if not the seed them where you need for grow the crop them where you want now you garden. How you they able get that money there? Now the other parts then they say, well, let we focus on women getting access to finance. If not that small microcredit you want to take, or if not that small loan you want to take, or if not that grant or the guy no need for pay, let we make it accessible to them as long as the woman will able to use them and then facilitate any kind of agricultural deal or initiative we want to embark on. Let we make them accessible to them. And some women in the back we and not just stop there. You they grow your crop. And you go get the land, you grow your crop, then you give you access to the grant, and then you go get access to land for do you lily and nothing where they bring income for you and also where they make you and your family they eat. But then some women and they way not to just stand it and they do. Some of them are entrepreneurs them where they go down plants that in corn or that in cassava, them actually want for get a space where they sell them, or them want for get an avenue where them go able to sell them products. And on that note they some of these women them they will not actually get the idea in fact on how for carry out that in small business we go make that small cassava with them plant can bring money for them where them harvest time and one sell them. So that was the second focus. Now that's that we provide access to women them on finance, the money where they need for carry out any initiative where they know say go sustain their livelihood. The land, some women them papa them not die left give them land, them mama they not die left give them land, and some land then they not to community land, not to communal land where if the woman want go plant they then go give them free access to them. So how will they make that woman now we in your passion now for some time make cabbage or some time for grow pineapple, how we go make it get access to land? Interestingly, where they talk this, I grew up na Kenema. We say we been grow up na Smith Lane. Na been the drive we say the resident minister Pa Smith been there. God rest his soul now we don't die. And then when you dey move common line, also you go down by Methodist. Then you get this school, we then call Methodist. We say the primary and secondary day. Down then have been this big swamp. Now big swamp. And the swamp being so fertile, if you actually want to do any agricultural work in that place, they able to embark on them. And we grew up looking to that. How the structure been there was, they get this, so Bundo Bush been there near the swamp. So some women them as them come out for make them decisions, them when then they make na the Bundo Bush, then they go straight to the garden for go see how then they able to provide food for them and them or food for them picking them. So then when they carry out leadership roles firstly inside them secret society places them, yeah. And at the same time, then they carry out that mama work. You see, so that entire land when I've been swamp, where they are around Kenny, where they are around Methodist, I know about 5 of we neighbor them, where them all been get small plots, they usai then they able for do them plantation. One I remember I been get me Auntie Fatty in Yabas 9 in the grow. Yabas and that not to them ball Yabas then get then long green Yabas them from where I come free on I know they see them in the Oh well, sometimes myself don't turn city boy and all they watch for them na in make. But then me get yabas with them they grow. And I remember say one way other neighbor, him in they grow cabbage. Now ordinarily these na people that we not get land do. They not get land at all. They not even get side with them build for themselves. Like you know things say they get land and build it. But then where they may make Methodist swamp available to all man we able for carry out agricultural practices them na that particular place there, it make the work easier for woman them. Antifati been the make been the plant yabas. That way other neighbor, I don't forget the name, I know one lie, but that way other neighbor been actually they get in smaller venue way they making cabbage, and we been get one palai. Palai in actually been the plant rest bien us. So you been get this big plot of land with the part of the swamp, we been the right bien us, we been the call the walium. And where you go there, now this everybody within the community mean they help align with them and picking them for go that yesterday, because this was it. And I think I was very young by then, but this was it. Where they don't plant that yesterday, where they don't grow them done, where then they harvest them, not so palai any woman and picking them no more gets for benefit from there. I remember there was a point to say for 3 weeks, all the way to be in the it's not that yesterday no more. My granny not be need for go buy cup rest na market again. You see, by then Bulgur been very like Bulgur. If you eat Bulgur, you know a poor man. So Bulgur was next to nothing. People them in the mixed type and Bulgur all because palai in harvesting period don't come. Then no say any kind way then go get that in small cashew or then go get that the young basin where then go to na us. It was a communal system. Them all been they work together. But this was only possible because government been provide access to the land them where palai and in people them been decide for utilize for carry out the agricultural productivity. And not so just than that, I remember say I mentioned that antifati. Where antifati been the plants that in Yabas, it been the camp before Methodist and that. Now ordinarily, antifati in man have been agriculture teacher, sorry. So it been gets the basic knowledge of carrying out agriculture itself, then with agricultural economics back. So it been the teaching woman how then go able waiting them for go this season where customer then go buy boku. So in woman we not go school because of the money knowledge we get on entrepreneurship, we get for do with agriculture, how for do business basically inside agriculture, and make them in the sell pass everybody within that area there. So this one I then focus on this other point. But there was not just this. They mean get other points back under this Gateway Act where they mean they push for. Now that forget about the appointments them. Let we get equal employment and promotion opportunities for everybody. Me they teach sociology part-time in Lebanese International School. And as part of waiting we they teach, they try to understand social inequalities them, how things them the way they happen inside with community, we get for do it, where they actually prevent certain group of people from getting better life chances than other one them. And so in this case, na been woman them. Woman and man go work inside the same office or the same institution for a long period of time, but now the woman no more na go get and the man no more go get promotion and the woman no go get promotion. Why is that so? And not for say not qualified though she is, but then you get this segregation where they happen inside Boku institutions them where they lead to that. Them call them either you get a vertical segregation or horizontal. That's not man and man go able to work inside this office, but a man no more go they get promotion. On the other hand, woman then get certain role where then they left for woman, even if not within the same office. So man go able to go as far as director general, and then woman no na nursing no more able to do. Man go able to become minister of health, but woman and a nurse work then they left them pa. So now then two type of segregation them mean they get. So how are they able to overcome that and then make sure say employment mechanisms they're available for everybody, regardless of who you come out and regardless of the type of background where you grew up in. Now, for sake of that, I want to we know more about this report here. And so one we staff when the director of policy and research, Professor Fredlin Mokomok Hill, inside IGR, and Dr. Adam Stephen been carry out this small presentation for see how far the assessments don't go for women them on then thing they are wired or outline. And members in IGR and UN women them in carry out this research here, and so them been do the presentation. And I want to we actually take a look at waiting have been them findings on the presentation. Let we see the report.
It needs to stand on existing protocols. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present this to you all, and just for the opportunity to engage in discussions around this. So, in light of time, essentially, as you can see, we're looking at an assessment of the GIWI Act, but focusing on two areas: women's attendance in Parliament as well as agriculture. So the key highlights of the study is that first, we know the background, obviously. As we all know, GIWI says you need 30% of representation of women in public and private roles. So here we're looking at, given this background, what is the impact of this on parliamentary effectiveness and agricultural productivity? Effectiveness as measured in terms of attendance. We look, two key things come out. One, that female MPs outperform male MPs when it comes to attendance and discipline. And secondly, that women farmers are showing a higher yield when they receive support, although they face limited access. So as we all know, the GIWI Act mandated 30% of legal quota for women in public and private sectors. It said that we need equal employment and equal promotion opportunities for women. It said that women need equal access to finance, land, and entrepreneurship, and that the mechanisms of enforcement would be lodged or housed with the Ministry of Gender. So given this, our two objectives, as we mentioned earlier, is one, political impact. These are the actual research questions or policy questions that we asked ourselves. On political impact, the question was, has increased women's representation improved parliamentary effectiveness, measured by attendance and participation in plenary and committee sessions? And second, the economic impact of GIWI. Has increased support to women farmers led to higher food productivity with a focus on rice farming, given its importance in our country context? The research approach that we used was a comparative analysis of MP attendance looking at 2018 and 2023. So those are the two key years that we're measuring attendance at particular times. And then second, we did a survey of 2,000 farmers that's gender disaggregated, showing access to grants as well as agricultural output once you receive implements. The background and rationale for this research is because we know that notwithstanding GIWI, or even prior to GIWI, there's a gender inequality in politics and agriculture. So this is looking to see, given GIWI, how are we addressing that? Second, we know that legal reforms, we have great legal reforms, but institutions need the support in order to implement these reforms. And we know that the Ministry of Gender and Children's Affairs is the least resourced. So how can we make sure that this ministry gets sufficient funds to do the work that it needs to be doing? And then third, we know that GIWI is a legal tool to close the gender gaps in representation and economic access. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Adams to talk us through the methodology that was used.
I'll talk through the methods as well as the results.
Yes.
Then my colleague will come back and conclude everything for us. For the methods, she has started explaining it. For the parliamentary study, we looked at two periods. The first period was the 5th Parliament, which started in 2018, ended in 2023. We looked at the first 6 months of attendance when the sitting started. Same thing with this with the 6th Parliament. However, we all remember that in the 6th Parliament there was a boycott from the main opposition party. So we did not start counting just after the sitting started. We waited until the boycott was ended and the opposition was back in. Then we started collecting. Overall, there were 32 sittings in the 5th Parliament that we considered and 26 sittings in the 6th Parliament that we considered, for a total of 58 sittings in all. We also took one committee attendance, the Committee on Public Accounts, and we did the same study in that committee just to assess if the general attendance in the general body of Parliament is comparable to what's happening in those committees. For the agriculture, like my colleague was saying earlier, we conducted a survey of 2,000 farmers in Bo, Bombali, Kenema, Tono, Kailahu, and Moyamba districts. Because we were interested in rice farming, we actually went through these 2,000 farmers. There were about 474 farmers that are only engaged in rice farming. The reason we chose this is that this is the only crop that both men and women, regardless of gender, actually actively engage in. If you go to vegetable, they were mostly women. If you go to cacao, coffee, palm oil, they are mostly men. So this is the area where both men and women were engaged. And the other reason is it's a top priority for this department because obviously rice is our staple. So we use regression models. I am not going to go into explaining how this works, but we use regression models, econometric models in both the parliamentary sitting and in agriculture to come up with the results. So here are some of the results. Female MPs grew from 13% in 2018. I was corrected yesterday to slightly below 29% in 2023. I think if you are looking at just elected, it's 30%. But then if you take overall, it's slightly below 29%.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing we observed is that even though this number grew, the number of females heading committees has not grown up. Of the 40 committees in Parliament, only 7 are headed by females, 17.5%. So we have 28 to 29% of females in Parliament, only 17% of them are heading committees. Or only 70% of the committees are headed by women. Some of the findings we had is that generally, across the board, attendance dropped significantly from 2018 to 2023. The average attendance in 2018, the 5th Parliament, was 91%. The average attendance in 2023 is the 6th Parliament is 80%. So we have 11 percentage drop in attendance generally across the board, regardless of if we are male or female. And if we look at just the females, same thing. 88% of females were attending in 2018. That reduced to 83%. But whereas in total the general drop is 11 percentage points, the female drop is about 5 percentage points. If you take just the males is about 13 percentage points drop in attendance. If we look by party, the things I want us to pay attention to are the two leading parties. APC in 2018, almost 93% were attending, very close to SLPP. But then in 2023, APC dropped by less than 10, about 10%. SLPP dropped by over 13%. So the ruling party actually stopped attending the parliamentary sittings compared to the other parties. So dropping attendance more pronounced among the ruling party members. So what we did now here is we looked at the probability or the chances of a parliamentary member attending. Like we take each parliamentary member, there is a sitting tomorrow, what are the chances that you will attend? And so we look at some factors on what affects this. So females versus male, females were 8% more likely to attend every sitting than males. Overall, across the board. If we look at only 2023, females were 13% more likely to attend the sitting than males. They are male counterparts. Just 2023. Overall, across the two sittings, females were 8% more likely to attend than males. Another interesting thing is that female attendance actually influences male attendance. For every sitting, when one woman attends, there is a 15% increase in the chance that a male will attend. So when females are attending, more people are attending. And it's a curious thing, people will ask why. But the reason is, there is a meeting that we meet all the time. If that meeting tends to get full, you'll be embarrassed not to attend. So everybody's attending, I have to attend. That's what the females are bringing. If the females are there, they are attending more, the meeting is getting full. The males are saying, I'm not going to wait. It's not necessarily that they are going because the females are going, but they are going because there is that commitment shown by their colleagues. So many people are attending, so they have to go. So there is that halo effect on men. When more women attend, more men attend. So we found that out there. SLPP parliamentary members overall across the two were 17% less likely to attend meetings than sittings than the AC parliamentary members. If you reduce it to just 2023, it's about 50% less likely to attend the AC parliamentary members. The most disturbing one is actually the year 2023 compared to 2018. Those who were elected in 2023 are 56% less likely to attend compared to those who were elected in 2018. Again, we will try to explain this, and we will need further research to know why, but there are obvious reasons we can give. One is inertia. The party that controls the State House is the same party that controls the Parliament. And there is huge buffer in there. There is overwhelming majority. So you will say, why do I need to go anyway? If the bill comes, we are going to get it passed anyway, because we have that huge majority. That could be one reason. The second reason is, if the APC person thinks, because of this difference in our numbers, even if I go, I'm going to lose, they also stop going. So both the ruling party will stop going, the opposition party will stop going, because of that huge difference between the two. That's another reason. The third reason I would give is probably because we moved away from what we are usually used to, like the parliamentarians are more accountable to their constituencies. Now the parliamentarians are less accountable to their constituencies and more accountable to their parties because of the political system we have. So those are the three obvious reasons I can think about. But this needs further research to actually know why that's went down. So this is another regression we ran on the total attendance. Let's say for every sitting, 100, 200, 300 people, 100 to 149 people attending. Whenever there is one female attending, the total number of attendance will go up by 3. So that means one woman attending, 2 more men will come in the total sitting. Yeah, that's very interesting. And then in 2023, compared to 2018, 66 members of parliament on average were not attending compared to 2023. So every 66 members of parliament were absent compared to the previous year. That's another finding we did. So for every female attending, total attendance went up by 3 MPs. For the committee, the Public Accounts Committee, same thing we found. Female attendance were about 62% in that committee, and male attendance were 57%. So females had 5% more attendance.
Come back. So we don't hear you waiting Dr. Adams and Professor Mokomok Hill been say. So 9-2 have been separate the work between and among, well, between themselves. And as he said, Dr. Adams, we actually handle the economic aspect. We don't provide access to land, finance, and entrepreneurship support to farmers them. Whose kind impact it don't get now from where we make them available to them? And for carry than the out, I think Dr. Adams, like what we are been they say, been do them carry out a research, then target 2,000 farmers them across different districts them inside Freetown, inside Sierra Leone, Bo, Bombali, etc. We been here, waiting in say. And also, them just be one know that where we don't do this thing where the GIWI Act been recommend, it don't change agricultural productivity. For example, we they get more rest now where we they harvest because women and non come inside this particular practice here. Now been the question with them been used for assess how far the GIWI Act so actually don't go for deal with the economic aspect of this. But then waiting me like more now we come to the thing where we make everybody else in here I mean actually they on the GIWI report. And that's now women's representation, they say that we increase them. I mean, this thing not so Sierra Leone is that we understand. For times now, like it don't take a long time within the marginalized and within the oppressed woman them. And so where parliament will actually put the motion say we want for increase how many women, well, we want for start by increasing the amount of women them we for able come inside parliament by setting a quota. That's now you they set a limit about a limit on how much you want. You they provide a certain percentage on how many representation of them women them you want inside the parliament or inside the public and private institution as case may be. So in this case, them been set them to 30, and when they set it to 30, waiting can happen now was now we can see now if the number actually increase or if it actually hits the specific targets them with them being set and waiting at the end targets them Is it that the contribution of MPs them generally actually don't change, it don't increase because we don't get more women them with the inside parliament? Now, if we've been waiting Doc bin the talk, so waiting Professor bin the talk inside the fourth parliament. Now two parliamentary sittings them then compare. Now the fourth parliament we now been pioneers in government we go from 2012 to 2017, and then take the fifth parliament as well, we now from 2018 to 2023 under Gomada Bio. Now, within them to them, they can notice say in the fourth parliament, now only 16 women them have been parliamentarians them out of the total of 124 people them we been there inside parliament. Then are just a mere 13% basically. So they make you the wonder. Now good number than they. I mean, if at least the men get 50 safe. People then for actually say, okay, well, something has gone right. At least women and non come na the floor. But then you know, even reach to a quarter of that number this. So it begs the question, how represented were the women? But then we can see changes inside the fifth parliament where President Bio come upon implementing the GIWI Act. And what we noticed was that the number increased. And when the number increase, it really begin for come with this cloud, and it begin for come with this whole different perspective where people then they wonder, is this the start on something we get for continue? In a sense, them actually record an increment where they're not being the, well, I won't say they're not being the expect, but 43 women were actually elected, and it accounts for 29% of the 149 MPs the more we've been getting inside parliament, you see. And let me just get a segregated data from waiting Prof bin they talk. Now for the fourth parliament, this was the situation. Yeah, out of the 13% when have been women them with the inside parliament, this was the case. APC parliamentarians them na them 9. Now them been the way na woman them. And them SLPP na been them 7 been the way na woman them. And among the paramount chief them, you know, say no to just me the one them with the votes for our constituencies them. Paramount chief them back get for add to that number with the inside parliament. And by then it was 124 on a member inside the fourth parliament. Now, out of that number there, 9 have been APC and then 7 have been SLPP. But we not get any representation we come out from the paramount chief section. Now, in 2023, we noticed a shift. You understand? In a sense that from that small number when have been 13%, we end up noticing we went as high as 29%. It's a start. We accounted for 30% and the GIWI Act actually been the go for, but it is a start. It is a start. And if you say, if I compare both parliaments, then I feel say we actually have done something in this case. You see, and for 2023, sorry, for the fifth parliament, this was the case. It was that out of the MPs, then we've been actually there inside parliament, them say 26 female MPs them now been SLPP MPs them. Then they be account for 60.4% of the total parliament of the total representation of women them we been the inside. For APC now, Prof been saying around 37.2% representation we get. We now just 16. And in 2023 as well, we noticed the shift. Paramount chief them we actually na members of parliament them again where they count that where they part of the 149 people them where we they count, they were represented, but it's a start. Like I tell you, it's a start. Now 1%, now one green parliamentarian we get, we come off from the paramount chief axis. We have been actually a woman, and then it accounts for just 2.3% of the of the total number of parliamentarians then we see. And so this notable improvement, people them say it largely attributed to the implementation of the GIWI Act. Now, me and you go feel say, okay, this is fair. I think something has happened, and I think we don't see progress. But this is where it gets interesting. Now, where Prof bin they go further, it mention another aspect where I wonder we look at. It is that you know, say inside Parliament we get committees them within they establish, and these committees basically get transformative role them with them actually they play in making sure say Parliament for able for perform this supervisory role where the states don't bestow upon them. So if you get, let we say, transparency and accountability committee now, for example, if we don't get reports say, but one, two, you the be, or we not feel say for the B. Others will come assess now. Others will come sit them and talk out the case system where we don't the hearing. That was the question basically. So how many women them in the inside them committees them here? And for answer Dandy, we try for actually look at the data where we get on one, how many women them in the inside the committees them, and then two, whose committee then actually been the inside. We will take a quick break. When we come back, we will continue with the program. So as we've been they say Fambulem, we measure the attendance rates them. Before we they come to the committees them, let we see party-based attendance them and the patterns them we then get in the 5th and the 6th parliament. As compared in addendum to waiting the professor been they say where I now these were the data with them in able collect. Then say in the 5th parliament, then at this from 2018 to 2023, the overall attendance rate been really high. Then say 91.22% of the MPs them been attend the sittings them we been there. And now only 8% be actually register absent. You see, now among them parties them we been the inside parliament at the time, 92% of the APC parliamentarians them actually APC been score 92% and then SLPP score both 92%. The difference between both of them now that APC been get a representation of 92.78% and then SLPP been get an attendance figure of 92.11% and they been get the highest attendance rates them. Other small parties them actually been there we contribute to that number the way we get inside like C4C now so C4C them participation I mean actually commendable back 91.02% now them attend and then for NGC 90.63% attendance in the record and then for the parliamentarian MPs them now 83.96% and the one notable thing with them been seen inside now the independent MPs them been actually get a significantly lower attendance rate of 78.13%, likely due to the fact say maybe party oversights them in there or they're not being get accountability structures them. And by contrast, where if you compare the 6th parliament, in fact, you they notice a huge decline and in attendance across all the parties them because the overall rate dropped to 80.80%, which shows like 10% performance attendance registration data now, and we actually see inside the entire makeup we get. Why make from the 5th parliament to the 6th parliament, there was a drop. So now them factors them actually been the Skyfall link. Is it that where we don't get now look at the 2015 the 5th parliament where we don't get more women than maybe in the inside parliament within the 5th parliament, we notice significant increase in them in their attendance. And but when you compare to the 4th parliament, you see that to get like a marginal difference between both angles them. So is it that now because women them where we elect inside parliament, now them can give the zeal to the male MPs them or basically to parliament, and then can boost the morale of every parliamentarian for begin for sit them and they actually attend sittings them. If that is the case, then I think this is an unintended unintended outcome. This say overall, the democratic process will actually improve in a sense that parliamentarians will actually commit themselves to the work that they are supposed to do, and they actually provide the perspective of the people them where them come represent inside the parliament. And it just not a stop yonder. It is that if me on view Naya wants for Dwazak, for example, if there's a certain view we want for let we want for let Parliament take into consideration where actually they go for good debate a certain bill before they turn to law, our interests will be represented. So is it that the data we see now, could it be linked to this factor? Could it be linked to the fact that the increment what we see in female parliamentarian representation them and the overall upward performance where we see with with parliamentarian attendance system, could it be linked to the fact that now the implementation of the Gateway Act now in actually lead to this? It remains a mystery, but then with this report now, we came to find out that perhaps that could be the case. And it is not only, we not only stop yonder, we also been the try for, see, I think there was this issue where people they ask, and it comes to the question now, you have people representing us in Parliament, and with these people we get where they represent you in Parliament, if more and more this abortion bill will come now, then we want debate inside Parliament. You think say me as a woman where they live inside Dwazak, I go actually think say my interest will be represented. Now this is the gender gap I am considering. You feel say my interest will be represented. You feel say a man MP for go see them and discuss whether or not me as woman for get right to abortion. Now, question, it's a rhetorical question. They ask the audience them now. Answer inside your own heart. Do you think that could be a possibility? Do you think that is something we want to move along with? But then, if I see me young company woman where they feel like me, where know like me, where actually they see the perspective of waiting at they see, and go sit down and then debate on whether or not woman forgets abortion, if it be a right or not for be a right, then I honestly go trust the arguments them go put forward. But then I not go trust them if na man MP I actually been come sit down and discuss them. You see, so all this now contributes to the idea of us having more and more women coming into Parliament, and then the fact that we have noticed that attendance actually increase where we begin to implement the Gateway Act. It shows us everything where we need to see. And if that attendance they be actually not been increased, say for example, before 2018, we been they get a specific data where been they below 70% attendance rate, and then in 2018, where we come for the 5th Parliament, away from the 4th Parliament, we get up to 92.7%. Then that means there has been an upward trend. But then if before that day, we know they get better performance, and after that day, we also know they get better performance, then it could be that the Gateway Act not actually achieve any intended outcome we been they look forward to. And these are the ideas the Professor A and Dr. Binde Skyfor put forward when they were discussing it. And so Famulem, we they take another break, where we come back, we they listen to the report where we been get from UN Women.
Plays a vital role globally and nationally in promoting the rights of women and girls. In Sierra Leone, this role is especially significant. Through its normative mandate, UN Women supports countries in aligning national laws and policies with international frameworks, such as the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the Beijing Platform for Action, and the Maputo Protocol. So what does this mean? It means that UN Women works hand in hand with government, parliament, civil society to ensure that these global commitments are not just words on paper, but are reflected in our laws, our policies, and our institutions. This process is known as domestication, and it's essential in making international standards real and relevant in the lives of women and girls. UN Women also plays a crucial role in the implementation of these laws. It's not enough to pass a legislation. We must ensure that it's enforced, that institutions are strengthened, and that women and girls can easily access justice and protection. We must also go further. UN Women's work is guided by the principle, leave no one behind. This means reaching the most marginalized women and girls, those in rural areas, those living with disability, and those facing multiple forms of discrimination. Together, through strong partnerships and commitments, we can build Sierra Leone where gender equality is not just a goal, but a lived reality for women and men.
We've been on here from we don't hear from Bendu Patricia Massaquoi, we come up from UN Women Sierra Leone. It talk about how UN Women they view women MP them role in parliament. Just before we go for the break and then get the report, I was actually providing comparative analysis between waiting may not happen the attendance rates between the 4th and the 5th parliament. But then before I jump into that, we notice, and much as she said, the expectation them we get for women MPs them now that Unago can actually be that driver the way go able for make we see an increment in democratic participation for all MPs them, and so to speak, where you consider the Public Accounts Committee, for example, the female members them waiting at the Public Accounts Committee, we not just one committee, them attendance have been 62% of all the citizens them, whilst the male then have been 57%. So if them being they show more commitment, it means that if we able to get women, in fact, for head the Public Accounts Committee, perhaps we go to see more and more women, more and more of the MPs them actually getting steadfastness and committing themselves to the work. Because that is just, I mean, that is my speculation where they see the data. Because if women they outperform the man them inside attendance, even though they are underrepresented in them roles them. I remember that men actually have more positions within most of them standing committees them, and they are more represented in fact than the women. But even with Dande, the woman them now, them own attendance be outweigh the man them own. It begs the question, what is the role where whose kind achievement we go get if we get the woman them for dominate most of the leadership positions them day. So where we come now to UN Women Sierra Leone waiting and talk, it make a come back to the 4th point where we been they consider. Now, we for the get enforcement mechanisms them for make sure say all the recommendations them with the inside the GIWI Act be implemented. And if we not get them enforcement mechanisms, them it go be like waiting, and this is not my view. This is the view of several other civil society organizations I have been hearing, where they complain about the National Youth Policy, that it lacks an implementation framework, and so in fact coordination not been there between and amongst ministries and for implement most of the recommendations inside the policy, and it was just that it remained a policy without actually achieving close to 80% of the entire thing them we've been for actually make young people them increase livelihood opportunities them increase for young people and them overall standard of living. So that is what the UN Women, and I think I told the line, if we get the Ministry of Gender, we go champion that Faith Day for can begin push for in fact not to just for like push, like it just take up the role of an enforcement mechanism for make sure say all the things and way the recommendations them inside the GIWI Act be implemented. I think would have enormous results them we go actually influence with democracy than if we not actually get an enforcement mechanism. Look, Public Accounts Committee, the fact say we get a woman inside there, women them will be inside there, we can notice say their own attendance, they outweigh the man they own. So them come with zeal. Now imagine if we begin for implement all the other recommendations them. One, we begin for increase woman them participation, them representation inside the private sector as well. You know how them work out with innovative ideas, we go change things. Now, before we continue, I go and let the presenter for please briefly come with the report again, the producer, so that we go take up the ideas them with Dr. Aissata Mahoy bin come and present in own views them relating to the topic.
That's a very brilliant one. I would like to say even the female caucus themselves would like to own this particular report, because this report has dug out some of the things that they have been talking about, and they will want to see that the Ministry of Gender will work with them through the structures that we have here. We have the GIWI Secretariat, Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Secretariat. We also have the new MAP Secretariat, which is here. It was basically set up for issues like this, where we feel that the gaps are there with women in leadership position. We help to strengthen those gaps, because sometimes they will argue to say women are shying away from some of these critical and technical positions, and women do not want to also feel free to talk about some of their problems. Like if you feel you have a gap in certain areas, some women do not want to talk about it. So these structures that we have there is basically to strengthen that gap. And this is why we continue to engage with Parliament. We are in very good relationship with the leadership of Parliament, because we can work together to see how we help to promote women, to help put women in some strategic positions there. And sometimes for me, I feel that also the men are being greedy to a certain extent, that they want to grab, because they have been used to grabbing. So it's something new for them to see a lot of women in Parliament at this particular moment. And you don't know, maybe coming the next elections, we'll have many more women than this, because this is what we're trying. So it's something that the men have to get used to. They have to get used to see women in Parliament. They have to get used for them to coexist. They have to get used to them to see women lead in some of those committees. And this is what the role of the ministry is. And we will ensure we continue to engage. We'll talk to our partners, UN Women, UNDP and others, and see how they can also support the process, because it is very critical. You, in a society where you have more women than men, you may expect to see that most of the leadership role being given to women, you know. But as women, we also have to bring ourselves forward. We also have to grab it. I keep saying, don't wait until they call you to the table. You bring yourself to the table. Because this is the era in which we are now. If you say you wait for men and call you, they're not going to call you. Although I've got a shape, all my turn must reach. But say they wait for you on time, sometimes things don't well. So now you get up, go to the table, bring yourself to the table, and see how you take advantage of the opportunities that are there. Now that's me want to say. The female councillors themselves, with themselves then get a very big gap where all this information they go for we. Even the female ministers, we self need for, because they see some of the position there, now man is still the leader. You know, but we want to see women then at the front. We not the envy the man them at all, but we want for show say when we self handle position, we self able for one. We can create the change where people they look for, and this is what we're looking at. We want to see how women then will lead, and where they lead for the betterment of this country. We want to create the change. So we will work with Parliament and see how we for the help for smoothing the areas that we need brushing, and also for address the gap them waiting through our partners. Thank you.
That's not the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, Dr. Aissata Mahoy. We've been the response to the report. We bring them inside because we've been once for when I read the perspective of an institutional head where we they expect say go be the enforcement champion of this GIWI Act here in its implementation. Let it not be like any other policy where they mean implement without an implementation framework, and we can lead to several challenges that we've been they get. Now, personally, I think these are the policy recommendations them with the Dynamic Aid, and it is actually in line with the presentation where the professor and Dr. Adams mean make for the very presentation with them mean do. Now that if we don't go back to the first thing where we see the amount of women them we've been there inside most of the parliamentary committees them, even though the man them population been boku past the woman them population, we notice that the woman them actually attend more and then participate past the man them. So it brings the idea that if we make woman them get boku leadership roles them inside the parliamentary committees them, I think we go get greater accountability, and then we go improve, we go see an enhanced participation of the stakeholders and the people them we elect for go represent in a parliament. I mean, it's an inferment from waiting the data they show we. And also, I think we not just go left arm on a gender gap basis no more. We think, say, this is what I think, and this is from the report. It is that let we tie MP their attendance to accountability incentives them. We feel like if more and more parliamentarians then begin to notice, say, your attendance might actually yield you sometimes salary increment or any other suite of office where doing a good job comes with, I think would be in the position for encouraging not just the women, but the men as well, for actually improve them participation within the spheres of the Parliament of Sierra Leone. Again, and this is something where we not labor much on it. Now, where Dr. Adams in the present, in his own presentation, it been the time for look at whether or not providing access to finance, land and entrepreneurial support actually don't help more and more women them for come inside agriculture, like rice production. So for example, and whether or not agricultural productivity don't improve. We mama them way we don't provide that land for a Methodist water side. They utilize the land well. Waiting have been the amount of women them we get access to money, in fact, for able for carry out that them farm work where they want to. And inside Dr. Adams presentation we do, it say 40.5% of the sample, out of the sample we rice farmers then basically then take, and out of that sample they them say only like 5% of 5.3% of the women them now then receive grants, compared to 8% of the man them will receive grants for actually carry out agricultural initiatives them. So it shows you that more men were actually given grants to than the women. And it comes back to the point, say, most of the gender gap them where we still the experience in the persist and now in actually the deter getting access to some of the things that we women them need for able for improve not just their participation but also boost agricultural productivity, all in the name them. Even with the amount of supports that we are seeing, it still shows that the problem they persist. So there is every need for we get the enforcement mechanisms them now where institutional bodies them for go they implement. And I think this is what they should do. The report talks say it's how we expand women targeted agricultural grants them. If more women then begin to get access to grants them, I think then they're in the position for increased agricultural productivity in Sierra Leone than if man them do them. That time we man they use for go see them, that na Kafubulum, they use for go see them na Poyoba. Afternoon time, after we don't work small. That mommy in now go use them for continue for work na the farm. If we don't get access to that grant day, and we go get much improved yield than if man them no more get them. And also, it's that let we reform the PR electoral model for stronger accountability. Most people feel say the idea of moving away from constituency-based implementations, well, electioneering processes them now to having a district block, it push women them away from the grassroots them. And they feel like if we can remove it, if we can reform it, the grassroots and the people them where they go represents them will get a common touch, and with that common touch, they actually improve accountability mechanisms them. But if me then a constituency 126 right now, and I'm not even where I be one vote for parliamentarian or no vote for my constituency parliamentarian, it brings a question to me on whether or not I get common touch with that parliamentarian, because now the entire district block system we use, and therefore then just submit names them and then I begin vote for without wants for votes for. And also it is that, and this should be actually carried out through the Ministry of Gender. Let we develop national gender impact monitoring system them where for make sure say them go to monitor most of the thing them way parliamentarians them they do basically most of the implementation plans them inside the GIWI Act. So if you the flout on them or lost them, then we will hold you to account. And with all these recommendations, I think we'll go a long way in actually amplifying the success system of the GIWI Act we don't see presently. Well, now so the well program go left you for today. Today, we look inside IGR and UN Women them reports on how women member of parliament them, the lead committees them, and how then can they perform, and where them down there inside most of them committees them there, and waiting at their attendance, in fact, whether or not they may they attend at all. Plenty thank you to our executive producer and Gulavali, and we senior producer Maria Makalma Mara, and we co-executive producer winner Dr. Stephen Adams, and we producer winner Elfrida Sam, and so we studio engineer them, and winner Sammy and engineer Kaba, and so we cameraman, the wonderful cameraman, winner Mr. Paul of Grafton, for where them bring them support for make sure say we program be a success today. Me will present the program to you today. My name na Bemba Kamara. The world go return next week Friday for a fresh edition. Stay peaceful and good night.